Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. You have found your way to this video because you are most likely interested in castor oil packs. They were recommended to me by Matthew Mournian of the School of Multidimensional Intuition, and I took a course with him that was a meridian clearing and intuition activation course. I highly recommend learning from Matthew Mournian, especially if you're having any otherworldly experiences that you want to try to manage and understand, because he knows how to help people heal the self with something called scalar toning and meditations, among other modalities. And one of the things that he recommended we do on our own time is these castor oil packs. Now, castor oil packs were recommended by Edgar Cayce. And if you're familiar with Edgar Cayce, then that is wonderful. I am familiar with Edgar Cayce, but that's not what this video is about. But I just want you to know where a lot of us got that before it was filtered through some of the other teachers and master teachers like Matthew Mournian, who came to also help us remember some of the things that we can do. So this video is really to focus not so much on the history of castor oil packs or Edgar Cayce or any of that. It's really to help you with some tips and tricks to get started, because it can seem really daunting when you realize that there are so many steps in the process. But we are going to take some of the mystery out, and I'm going to just let you know how I do them, and maybe that'll be helpful for you. So when you purchase a castor oil pack kit, if you get it from this company, this is the Palma Christi Heritage Store company, okay? The Heritage Store. So you can get a kit, you don't have to, but the kit comes with everything you need to get started, and that's just the way I went. This is what it looks when you unbox, how it looks when you unbox it. Here are the Castor Clean towelettes. That's what you're going to use to clean yourself off when you're done. It comes with the wool flannel, okay? And that is what you're going to use to absorb the castor oil, or to put it on there to use on your body. I'll show you what that looks like. It comes with castor oil. You can purchase all of these things individually. And it comes with a little instruction booklet. That's if you go with this company, which is not mandatory, but they are the ones who follow the Edgar Cayce teachings if you want to go that way, okay? It's entirely up to you. I just found that this was available, and this was what Matthew Mournian was using, I believe, at the time, so I went with this, okay? Now, how does it work? All right, you're going to need to have a few things with you that do not come in a kit, or if you buy those items separately, do not come with any of those items either. You're going to need one plastic bag. I use a new one each time I do a pack. You're going to need a hot water bottle or a heating pad. In my case, we already had heating pads, so that's what I've been using, but understandably not everyone wants to have something electronic or electric on their body. Okay, that's understandable. You don't have to do that. You can use a hot water bottle, but it is important that you have a heat component. Now, I like to use a towel to lay on top of, a towel that I don't care about, that can get some castor oil on it and I won't be upset. I found that when I tried to use plastic to lay down on, because this is something you have to lay down for, when I used plastic, it was messier, and I tried to use the plastic over again, and that didn't really work. Whereas the towel, you can just change it out if you have more than one towel that you don't care about, or you can use the same one a couple times, whatever you're comfortable with. And we're going to get into that and why it will be more comfortable in just a moment. The other thing I have is, I recommend that you have a glass container like this that you can keep it in. They say in the instructions that you can keep it in a plastic bag. I don't recommend that. Bags can get holes in them, and you can actually have this cloth, the flannel, last for you for up to, I think they said, a year, unless it goes rancid. So you don't need to keep buying more wool flannels. They should last you quite a while, and you're not supposed to have to clean it out in between. That's up to you, okay? I don't even know how I would begin to do that. So when I'm ready to replace it, I'm just going to get a new one and throw that one out, all right? Because the point is, you want to get the flannel very, very saturated for your actual castor oil pack. Now, what does that refer to when I'm saying castor oil packs? Because we don't really use the word pack in the way that it's being used in this context, right? So pack here, it's essentially that you're packing, you're creating a pack to put onto your abdomen. Usually you can do it on your chest if you're good with maneuvering things, you can do it on your back to get those adrenal glands. But we're going to create the castor oil pack on our, I'm not explaining this well, but we're going to be putting it on our person so that the castor oil can get absorbed in. And Matthew Mournian actually described it really well. He said that it's almost like it's being breathed into your body. It's like this exhale. He said it much better than I could. So go ahead and get in touch with him if you'd love more information about how he does it. But this is how I do it. It took me a few tries to get it right. Okay, so let's get into it. The first step is you're going to want to heat your flannel for 15 minutes if you've done this more than once. But the very first time, you just focus on getting it covered in the castor oil. Now, the way I do that, because it comes like this, which is dry. Actually, scratch that. You will want to have it heated the first time because you're going to saturate it first anyway. So it all works out. Okay, so it comes like this. When you open it up, this is actually someone else's that they haven't used yet, so I'm not going to handle it too much. But I just want you to kind of see the texture, okay? Good old wool flannel, all right? And so that you're going to put into this glass container, right? And you're going to take your castor oil and saturate this flannel as much as you can. You want it to be kind of icky and gooey, because if you just barely do it, then it's going to spend all of its time hanging out in the flannel. It won't get into your body, and we need it to be absorbed with the heat, right? Into your system. So you don't have to handle it. Some people use tongs. I don't mind how castor oil feels. It's very, very sticky. When I get it onto my hands, I just go ahead and rub it in somewhere where it's not going to be just hanging out and sticking, but it won't hurt you. Okay. It smells a little, maybe not that great. Maybe almost a copperish smell. Maybe not the best description. It has a unique smell. It's not super strong, but you'll maybe need to get used to it. Okay. So you're just going to pour that in. You can use tongs or you can use your hands to just move it around to make sure it's getting fully absorbed. This has been used several times now, so this is how it will look eventually. Now, I don't do it to where it's totally dripping everywhere, because you'd have to go through the castor oil quite often. To me, as long as I can feel on all parts of it that it is wet or sticky, then that's okay, okay? So whether you use your tongs or your hands to just go ahead and pour. The first time you're going to need a lot of castor oil to pour it in there, and make sure it's covered, okay? Make sure the wool flannel is covered. Then you're going to turn on your heating pad, plug it into medium, and plug it in, turn it on to medium, and you're going to sit the flannel in the container on top of this heating pad. You can sit it down wherever on a surface that won't be bothered by the heat. So on the bed, on the couch, something that won't be bothered by the heat there, okay? And leave that for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, it will be warm enough to apply to your body and start that healing immediately, instead of you having to start it with a cold or room temperature, the oil, and then after that, when you're already supposed to be starting your healing process, if it's not warm yet, then you're going to waste some of the time or lose some of the time on it getting warm. So it'll already be warm. So leave it for 15 minutes and go ahead and set up your space in the meantime and get whatever you're going to be doing. You might want to put on a meditation. I found it to be really helpful to look at actually Matthew Mournian's old YouTube videos and see some of the healing sessions or old classes he'd recorded. And I did some scalar toning, and it had a great effect. It was very healing for me. I highly recommend those. Again, especially if you're experiencing anything having to do with your intuitive abilities picking up, or any type of self-healing you need to do on yourself, okay? So 15 minutes of heating that up. And this is what you're going to do, what I recommend for setting up your space. The first thing is to go ahead and lay out that towel that you don't care about, okay? Lay it down flat, just like you're going to be hanging out on the beach. You want to have something nearby. I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video. You're going to want to have something that you can use to secure the castor oil pack around you. You're going to have the heating pad protected with a plastic bag that we showed already. And this is an old jumper that I was going to turn into a shirt, and I got bored halfway. So it's just a big, really big rag. If you have anything like this, highly recommend that because it can get some oil on it. I don't care. And you'll see I'm able to secure the pack around my abdomen with this very easily. I can tie it and all of that. You can cut stuff up if it's just a really big piece of fabric or cloth that you don't care about. Other than that, people use things like saran wrap and all types of stuff. I don't know, it's too much work for me. No. So, boom. Old piece of clothing. Okay, so I have my towel laid out. Wonderful, wonderful. I have my things nearby that I'm going to need. They're a quick reminder, the castor oil towelettes, if I need something to remove the castor oil. They're not required. You can use whatever works for you, but it is very sticky. At this point, I don't mind. I just rub the castor oil into my body and, let it hang out there. But not everyone wants to do that, understandably, especially if you have to put on some nice clothing afterward or something. You don't want the castor oil to get on that. So back to our setup. We have the towel laid out flat. I recommend doing this naked so that you don't have to worry about castor oil getting on your clothing. But to each their own, okay? I think it's a great chance to get in touch with your body. You don't have to do anything other than apply the pack and relax. It's like a big hug from the universe. But it's really, if you want to go naturalista with it, more power to you. That's how I do it. So I take, once it's been 15 minutes, I like to strip my clothing, okay, and be in a private space. I've done this on the bed. I've done this in a window seat, which is where I'm sitting right now. And there isn't really much of a difference, just as long as you can lay down and be comfortable. I could see it being difficult to do on a couch, but that's really entirely up to you. It's your world, okay? So when this is heated up and I'm in a position where I can kind of move around, some people might want to stand up when you're getting used to it, but now I can do it when I'm already seated. I remove the top, of course, can leave the heating pad on because you're about to use it again for yourself. But here is the ooey gooey nice castor oil pack. Or it's about to become a pack. Okay? When I'm into position, I'm gonna use a bonnet to show you because I have clothes on, clearly. But we're going to pretend that you're looking at this, okay? The area where it's gonna go is about here for most of your castor oil packs, okay? Your abdomen, right? And you can fold it in on itself just like what I'm able to do with this bonnet until you get the size and the shape that you want. You can move it. It can be on the side. I've done it on my chest before. If I was having problems with my chest, it's up to you, okay? Whatever is ailing you. If you were doing your adrenals, then you would need to lay on your stomach and arrange it on your back and secure it from there. But let's just say you're going to do your abdomen, okay? So here is the, boom, abdomen. Now, let's say I'm already laying down, like what I actually recommend. And from there, now I need the heating pack, okay? Gravity will help you if you're laying down, as you can see. But this is just to show you where everything's going to go. Here's my plastic bag, because clearly I don't want to get any castor oil on the heating pad. So there's a protective barrier, okay? The heating pad's already on at this point. It's on medium. I'm leaving it on that. You should not have it up higher than what you can tolerate. Low, in my case, I can't feel very well. High is too hot. You also want to be sure to set a timer when you are working with a heating pad because you shouldn't be sleeping with those, okay? Now you see why it's nice to have something that's a bit flexible and not plastic, because plastic on plastic, if I'm wrapping this, it's going to be slippery. But this one, having this cloth that I don't care about, I can actually cover now the plastic and everything. Boom. Okay? Well, I didn't do that well before I got up, but you get the idea. Okay? Here we go. So, however much you need to cover, you can go ahead and do that, depending on how much space you have on the cloth. I like this because if I want to kind of wiggle around, then I just tuck this under. Probably heard my stomach growl just now. Ignore that. Tuck that under, and then I'm just laying on top of this. Okay, so if I kind of move to the side, I'm not worried about it. From there, since I'm naked at this point, I can put the covers over me if I'm in a bed, or I can put a blanket over me, and it's going to be on top of this. Now, you don't want it to be sheets or something that you care a lot about, because it can still get on there. It's happened. So make sure it's not your most luxury sheets or your fanciest blanket. But that's how you can secure this. Now, I have had it happen where I needed to get up in the middle, because this takes, I like to do an hour and a half personally. What's suggested, I think, is an hour. People do this overnight. Again, not with the heat overnight. You don't want to do that. If you have a hot water bottle, it's okay. Different story. But I do an hour and a half. And in that hour and a half, you can read, you can listen to a meditation. Like I said, you can do your own scalar toning or self-healing process. You can catch up with friends. It's really entirely up to you. It's meant to be a healing and relaxing process. But you're not going to want to be up and down during that time at all. Give yourself the space and the time to just be and to heal. You deserve it, okay? And you want to do this every day for, the recommendations every day for 30 days, and then you can have your own intuition kick in about what's needed. They say consecutive days are important. It took me a while to get into the hang of it and the swing of things. So I was not doing these every day, but once I started to do them every day, it made a big difference, and I can see why it would not be recommended to do them sporadically like that, okay? But I just needed some practice of getting into the habit, and I knew that if I said, oh, well, you know, I didn't do it yesterday, so I'll just skip, that it was going to push back the entire healing process. But I got the hang of it quickly, and it was when I decided to figure out what worked for me. So that's why I'm passing on this information for you. Okay, so at this point now, we have our whole castor pack situation, everything secured, and we are laying down and relaxing. Boom. Now, just so you know, with this method, if you do need to get up and go to the bathroom or something like that in between your healing, you can do it. It's pretty easy with this, because I just do it's like I can pop it off, put it to the side, right, and lay it on the part that's cloth, then plastic bag with the heating pad, and the castor oil would be on top so it doesn't touch anything. And then, boop, when I need to put it back, I can pop it back on. But ideally, you will not have to get up to move to do any of that. You're just going to let yourself relax. It is such a nice feeling. I'm telling you, I'm usually disappointed by the time it's time to stop and move on to the rest of the day or night. Now, once you have been laying there for an hour or however much time you've decided, don't overdo it, not necessary. You may notice that your skin is a bit red, okay? That may mean that you should go down to a low setting at some point. Pay attention to your body, listen to your body, be there for your body, do the thing, do the healing thing. That also means if it's too hot, it's too hot, and that's okay. Maybe switch to a hot water bottle. I haven't used one, so I don't know if that same thing would happen, but I suspect it would not be as likely, okay? I would say that that's just a better option, but if the choice is either don't do the castor oil packs because you don't have a hot water bottle, but you have a heating pad, or wait for the hot water bottle, just use the heating pad. Come on, you know, we got to work with what we got. Now, by the time you've done, just a tip to throw in there, once you've done this the first time, you don't have to saturate, or at least a couple times. Once you're confident in the saturation of the flannel, you can pour the castor oil directly on your body. That's what I like to do. So if I'm doing my chest, I'm already laying down, and I pour. Okay, I have good scent, so I'm not going to let it run everywhere. I'm just going to kind of put it somewhere where it can sit, like right in between here, and concentrate around my heart space and my esophagus and all of that. If it's my abdomen, Then I can pour, pour, pour. I focus on the belly button, okay? I fill that, and then pour, 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 right when I'm ready to put that flannel right on top, and then that plastic in the heating pad, and then the wraparound, okay? So that's a word to the wise. Now, I find that to be a lot less messy too, because I'm not having to start with putting the castor oil onto the flannel first and then move a messy dripping flannel onto my body. No, I can just use the flannel at that point as more of like a barrier. I know that it's absorbing some oil, but I know that it's also pretty full of oil already at that point. So boom. Now, the Castor Clean Towelettes. When I'm ready to get up from what I've done, this is how I recommend you do that. First, you will remove carefully this. Why carefully? Because it might at that point have some oil on it. That's all right. You can just put it in a ball and wash it, put it aside, whatever is your flow with that, okay? Now, next, you have this, and one side of it will be filled with castor oil. So you'll want to take out the heating pad, and then you can stick your hand in and just flip. I haven't been looking at the camera much, y'all, I'm sorry. You can flip it like this, and you can use it for your garbage. I think that's a nice, more sustainable thing to do. Use it as a garbage receptacle, okay, in your garbage bin. Or, if you must, you can just throw it away if you can't find another use for it, okay? Now, here's where we get our, first we have to put the flannel away. You can put the flannel just right from your person into that container. I leave this next to me open so that I don't have to look for it. And then just cover that and set it to the side. And now you can use your cleansing towelette. I'm not gonna waste one, but this is what they look like. They look essentially like smaller versions of baby wipes. You're used to that. And I've only required one at a time. They're very small and thin. And this one comes with 40 unscented wet towelettes. I've only ever needed one at a time. And the other option to you, if there isn't just a ton of oil that's overwhelming you and you don't necessarily want to clean it off, you can rub it in. It's okay. You can have a nice massage moment, you know, with your skin and with your body. It's okay to do that. All right. So that is the castor oil pack. After that, you can do whatever you want with your towel. Make up the bed, that's on you. I don't know, maybe you like to have a mess. Try not to. But that's just what it is. That's what it is. And you can repeat that as often as you feel called. And I just find that this process has changed my life, but I wanted to focus in this video on how to do it, some tips and some tricks, some things to keep in mind, and how to get you started. So please do let me know if you have any questions and put those in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this and that it was informative for you. Okay? And be well. Happy healing.